Hey guys.
I got you.
Hey guys. Okay, there's a few things. This video is so one Halloween-y, two Mercury retrograde-y. The thing is, my screen is broken, so it's literally flashing green. And so it looks like it kind of looks like a haunted house, like a maze. So if that's what you're seeing, that's what's going on. But yeah, that's that. Number two is, it looks really, it's creepy. It's not creepy, don't worry. We're just outside, you guys. This outside thing does happen at night too sometimes. Yes, it does. We are outdoors, guys. Yeah, it gets dark every now and then here on Earthlandia. So, but I want to chat because I was just meditating on the energy, and it's so interesting. Feel free to let me know, and feel free to chat in the chat what you guys think about these frequencies here that have been so far, specifically with Venus and Sag that's been. I've really been feeling the Venus and Sag. Again, if you guys are seeing some flashing green, it's every now and then. Oop, there, just turned off right there. Just jinxed it. Yeah, there we go again. It's my screen. It's broken, so yeah, broken. So it's just kind of flashing. Very, very prime time for Halloween coming up. But anyways, or the October month, whatever. You guys, so Venus and Sag, you know what I've been feeling? I've been feeling this sense that it's almost like I get that there is this sort of exploration that is more of the mind. And it's almost like I feel like we're sort of, it's like we're seeing more from this broader vantage point, which is not a huge surprise, right? Right in the birth wheel, we see that once we move after Scorpio, we move up into the higher houses of the chart. Not higher because it's so-called better, but just higher in the chart. As we reach the midhaven, Sagittarius is one sign away from the midhaven, and it hits on the cusp of the midhaven. So really, the midhaven is the end point of the 9th house, which is the house of Sagittarius. And yes, it is that pivot, that angular point, which connects to then Capricorn. So here's the thing. We're now moving into the higher sort of parts of the birth chart, and Sagittarius does really rule the higher mind. It is the opposing house to Gemini, and so for example, where Gemini rules communication and such things, language, the mind as well, Sagittarius rules, we'll say, higher education, not the language that you're brought up with, but foreign language, so languages that you pick up over time, that you sort of make like sort of how do we say, an intention to learn and to grasp. So there is the notion of commitment as well with the mind.
I like the way you roll, Joe.
When it does come to Sagittarius. This guy was walking and he was gonna be on his way, and so I was like kind of timing it like, okay, I'll continue walking, and then he literally stopped like right almost in front of me and then looked back. And so maybe he forgot something, but anyways, you guys, so yeah, again, those of you just tuning in now, you're seeing green flashing. It's not just you, it's my screen that's broken. It's getting even hot, maze, haunted maze vibe. So yeah, but you guys, so moving on, I'm really liking, I mean, look, obviously I've got a lot of Sag in my chart. My moon is Sag, and my Jupiter is in the house of Sag. It's natural ruling house, in addition to Neptune 12th, but really it's Jupiter 9th. Sagittarius, it's the sole Jupiter. It's the sole ruler of Jupiter. It's the sole ruler of Sagittarius, whereas Pisces has two rulers, right? Neptune and Sag, Neptune and Jupiter. So, making Pisces and Sag quite similar to one another. But anyhow, going back to it, I've got quite a bit of Jupiter in my chart, so I'm comfortable in some sense with this energy, and it brings a sort of spotlight to wherever you have. And we're talking because of Venus, right? Because Venus is now moved into Sagittarius. I get that there's this refreshing energy, and it's like kind of like a spring, like a geyser, like kind of like you know, this shift. It's a shift of pattern, but really it's not just a shift. It's a shift of macro sort of orientation, where if we really look at the birth chart, right, until the point of Sagittarius, we've been so consumed with how it is that we see things, maybe also physically. And I say that because the earlier parts of the birth chart are more, not introverted, but it's more focused on the self, whereas the, you know, the notion of even Scorpio will say, we can see this shift starting really trickling in with Scorpio. You know, we really start thinking about how we take these energies to the next level, socially, not like, hey, it's me, how are you doing? How okay, I'm good, you too, which is more Gemini, maybe Libra. Okay, but more, how do we take these concepts and connect them to something much broader, much deeper? And that's you, of course, right? So this is saying, in the way you might be thinking about things in a deeper sense here, a deeper space. We all have Sagittarius somewhere in our chart, so definitely spotlighting that part of your chart, especially if you've got planets in Sag, would be majorly spotlighting those planets and the houses that they're in. So you definitely want to look at that area of your life. That could be where you might be thinking broader, bigger. Kind of like my hair, what's happening in my hair right now. It's just like, okay, I'll go to the end of the earth. Perimeter of the hairband. There is none, you guys. But that's very also Jupiter, right? That's very Jupiter. Very, wait, that's more like Saturn, Capricorn, which we'll get to, but we got to get first through Sagittarius. But yeah, that's very expansive, literally without sort of any, you know, deadline, really, kind of like no limit, really, right? That's very Sagittarius. Jupiter, expansive. So, which is why it was so interesting, you know, that we had like the conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter a while back. But anyways, so you might be feeling that things are being kind of alleviated even. Jupiter is that breath that we take of, does it really matter? It is the philosophical energy as well, right? Of, well, what does matter? What, you know, what is what? That's why if you meet somebody who's got a lot of Jupiter on the chart, Sagittarius on the chart, they'll debate you on what is what. And it's never usually just one way or another. It's got, you know, different ways to it, different sides to it, different storylines. Jupiter coincidentally actually does rule storytelling as well. So, but ultimately Jupiter's travel, it's expansion in the mind, and physically, but by way of the mind, by way of the vision, it is the explorer's energy. So yeah, it's interesting. There is a curiosity with Jupiter. So being in Venus, you know, we're maybe getting more comfortable thinking about, what is it that I can make of the situation as well? Is it really what I've seen it to be? Is it really what I've been seeing, physically, feeling, 3D? Or is it something much more? Can it be something much more, much bigger? And that's where it's the mind that is sort of expanding outwards and inspiring us to question things more deeply. So Sag is so interesting. I feel like it really is a breath. It's a breath. It's a moment, again, where we say, it feels relieving. Feel free to share here if this is resonating with you. Yeah. Feel free to share if this is resonating with you, if this concept is something that you've been feeling. I'm really starting to feel it right here. Yeah. The pressure of needing to fixate on things as well has sort of more made, it's been brought into context, we'll say. Jupiter, of course, is also that happy-go-lucky energy. It can be, you know, so it's nice. It's nice to have that break, you guys, right? Venus and Sag, the two benefics. Of course, we have to see it both ways and say, well, Venus in Sag is also sort of like bringing the focus as well to Venus with Jupiter, and we can kind of see it as like two ingredients, like Jupiter and Venus. Jupiter expands whatever it touches, and being in Venus, naturally we're looking at Jupiter through the lens of Venus and vice versa. So it can also make you kind of, it can extend the sense of overboard excitement, overload to Venus, you know, be aware of that. More the better, you know, kind of vibes. Venus is partnerships, it's connections, it's resources, creative resources specifically. And yeah, you guys hear the crickets? It's amazing. So yeah, but it's about open-mindedness ultimately, I think, at the end of the day with Sag. And we will start moving more into this energy, especially given that the sun is still in Libra, you know. Libra and Sag are both yang, and Libra is an air sign, and it is in the mind as well, we'll say, right? And it actually is ruled by Venus. So this is quite an interesting planetary lineup that we have going on right now. We got a lot of Venus and we've got a lot of Sag, a lot of Jupiter, and specific overlaps between these two. So we're really sort of getting lighter here a little bit, especially since Venus has moved out of Scorpio. The moon, I believe, is in Scorpio actually right now. But we talked about this in the last astro chat. Once this moon leaves Scorpio and enters Sag, we're really gonna get a sort of push from clearing the energies of what we may have encountered during Venus in Scorpio, which was very intense, I think. But you feel free to make your conclusions, of course, about all, you know, alignments. Nothing is necessarily absolute. Now, what else? Yeah, so that's going to be, I think, on Saturday. We're going to move into moon in Sag. We'll have that riding out Sunday, Monday. Now, the sun will move into Scorpio. That is coming up. That will shift a little, right, the focus back to, you know, Scorpio for a minute. But it's via the sun this time. It's not via Venus any longer, which was, you know, like we said, not really this most comfortable spot for Scorpio. So this time the sun, I mean, let's be honest, is the sun exalted in Scorpio? I don't know. Well, Scorpio rides on that axis of fire and water energy, right? It is also got the co-ruler of Mars. Mars is fire, whereas, you know, the sun is too, but it's a different fire energy, right? The sun is the Leo energy frequency. It's out there. It's very yang. It's expressive. It's, you know, look at me. Scorpio is more for private energy, but directive, right? Pluto and Mars. I focus on it. I pursue it. It's the attention, the intention, I'm hearing perspective as well. The perception, and no, but there was a word I wanted to use here. It is it's a penetrative energy. So, you know, with the sun and Scorpio, we see the major spotlight here on Scorpio, on the 8th house matters, on Pluto, but it's with the sun, which makes it, well, you know, a little lighter and a little more comfortable possibly than Venus, which was wedging Scorpio into this 2-2 love and light. I don't know, it just wasn't, I felt it wasn't really the most, it was a little bit unrealistic, like a little uncomfortable to think that, you know, the first segue into Scorpio with Venus, not the most comfortable space. So with the sun, especially while, remember we had all that Libra energy simultaneous, including the ruler there of Scorpio, in Libra, how Scorpio was in the ruler of Libra, Venus, it wasn't really the most comfortable. So now, Scorpio went backstage taking a breather, taking the tutu off, the tights off, just her shoes off. Maybe that's how, you know, it was feeling. And now it's gonna wear the outfit of the sun, and it's gonna be like, here I am, I'm a little more comfortable. All right, no. Once Mars enters Scorpio, that's like fucking Scorpio has spatula on stage, and Scorpio is doing, its whole fucking routine and gig. There will be moments we do have to be aware of course, then as well, from all perspectives. I see a car that says Dune, D-U-N-E. Now, it's weird, round. Haunted House Edition, yeah. Now, so it's interesting. That will be more in November, right? When we see that shift. Well, Scorpio will move into Mars in October, actually, 31st, Halloween. Yes, so that's going to be coming up there. And that will be overlapping, of course, the sun in Scorpio as well. And we don't see Mercury moving into Scorpio until it moves out of Libra completely and does its thing in retro, right? I think that's more in November, mid-November. Yeah, actually around like the 7th or the 8th, I think it is when we move into, it moves direct, November 3rd, like officially clears out of post shadow, and this we're talking about Mercury, and then it clears and it speeds back up with its momentum, its natural speed, and then it moves quickly, because Mercury typically is a very fast-moving planet, so, you know, it's not going to take too long to recalibrate. So it'll generate its natural speed again, jump back into Scorpio relatively soon, first, week of November, and then we'll see that'll be very, very intense Scorpio energies. So, but okay, we're not there yet. So for now, right? But so the sun is gonna bring the spotlight, and Scorpio is gonna feel like it has more of a conversation going, so not like, what was that, give me a little Venus and this and that. Oh my god, it's so pretty, the picture, so beautiful at night. So expect to also be getting back into the things that may very Scorpio, very Sag things like also art. Art is a very Scorpio thing. If you've been feeling like a creative block, kind of like what's going on with like my creative work and my innovative energies, that's gonna all spring back into step, I think, when we head more into the Sag energies, which we already have started to spring forward with the Venus. So from basically here on out, we're looking at, more or less here on out, we're looking at the broader parts of the birth chart of what's really going on with my work, my project, my love life, my career, so on and so forth. And so you want to look though at the personal planets that you have in these signs that are in the higher houses of even Scorpio still, Scorpio Sag, but really Sag, because that's right on the perimeter of the highest point of the birth chart, the midheaven. So Scorpio, Sag, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces. Think about these last signs. If you have any personal planets here, you've got a lot of things that will be, like really, really pummeled through, pushed through. And you might have been feeling a little bit like something's not been realistic. I hear it like this. Like, you just feel intuitively like, I haven't been hitting on the high notes. I've been kind of like not really like kind of seeing things so-called perfectly clearly. I'm hearing that. If that's the case, I'm getting again. This is going to spring back into step once we move into more Sagittarius energies. Sagittarius energies, Scorpio again, but really Capricorn as well. Capricorn season will bring some reality checks, big reality checks, but more on that. Capricorn is nice though, like it brings the balance point, it brings the context. I like the Capricorn frequencies, especially in the moon cycle stages. It tends to bring things sort of, it grounds, especially those who have a lot of water in your chart, which if you're watching, my channel, you probably do. Especially Cancer, it's the opposite point of Cancer, so in the birth chart. It brings the so-called reality check here. Now, it's all balance, right? You can have so much of a certain sign that makes you feel less balanced, right? But given what we've been experiencing, I feel that we're at that point. We're about to manifest also in a big way. Something that maybe we've been thinking of. So it's to say it like this, if there's been something that you've really been feeling, thinking, but you haven't gone to the point where you really hit the head on the nail with that sort of vibe, just wait a few months and I feel things will really come to a point. yeah, let's clear it again. Definitely, because also, yeah, if you have any personal planets in the signs of the upper houses, and I'm here ultimately chakras, there are things that maybe you it's like you almost like you knew something was going to happen, or you expected something to happen, but there's a particular path to it, and maybe it is timing. Maybe you realize it's not the right time to do this. So know that obviously the energies will be shifting around, and there will be a change of circumstance that might be more favorable for you. Okay, with what you're trying to accomplish. This is just a guided message I'm channeling here. It could be very particular for someone here, but yeah. Yeah, so if you have, you might have been feeling a little bit even like something wasn't fully, you couldn't really understand what your story was even. I hear this. Like what you wanted to say, again, like you felt like you weren't really even yourself. This is what I'm hearing for some. If that's the case, and if you've got a lot of Scorpio, Sag, personal planets even, Moon, Venus, Mars, okay, etc., rising in Scorpio, Sag, Aquarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, we're at the end of a huge cycle. Because again, at that point, once we move through Pisces, we're at the new age, the new stage, back to Aries. So we're about to close out a big cycle, guys. Love and light to you. See you in the next videos. Bye.